Yo guys, what's going on? Acez is here today with another video. In today's video, we are going to be doing a task guide for Hustle here in Escape from Tarkov. Do me a favor, make sure you're dropping a like on this video here today, and of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more PvE content. Got a couple super thanks shoutouts we have to do, then we will hop right in. First one is from Swaysive. I'm a new sub, but your videos have been in the recommended section a lot. Keep up that grind. That's great news. That means new faces are going to be continuing to stop by every single day, get some new subs, and continue to help people, especially with the PvE stuff. So that is great news, and thank you so much, Sway. Next one's going to be from LT, Lieutenant Mean Cat with another one. I love to see you attempt this task. Honestly, you probably wouldn't, but I do appreciate your support nonetheless. So when it comes to Hustle, to be just completely honest, I'm not even close to finishing it. This is after 10 raids. I think I've had the worst luck when it comes to this task. Not only have I continuously been one-tapped through armor class 6 plates by night with shitty 308 FMJ, I have been getting some of the worst spawns on east side. We're going to be attacking the resort from west side, and we're going to go into an offline raid so I can explain things to you. But east side is a significantly worse spawn. 8 of the 10 raids have been on the east side, which has been extremely annoying. Just overall, I've had a piss poor experience trying to do this task. I've probably dumped about 5 mil into it so far, which isn't a lot, but it's annoying to just say the least. But I'm going to give you some tips when it comes to just things that are going to potentially make this a little bit easier for you. So, tip number 1 is going to be dealing with Kalante. With the panic attack debuff, there are only 2 weapons in the game currently that will not jam regardless of panic attack, and that is the RPD and the PPSH. And we're going to talk about both. Ignore the raid bans, you know I'd be flipping them. So the beautiful thing about both the PPSH and the RPD is you have high capacity magazines available for both. The PPSH is going to have a 72 round magazine available for it, and they are fairly cheap. You can see I was just using some on my last raid, which did not end well. It ended with Knight giving me the 2-tap to the chest through class 6, but I had the PPSH on, and honestly, this might be the better thing to run if you are only going to use it for Kalante. Now, if you're going to use it as a primary weapon, you probably want something with a scope, just something that's going to be a little bit better, maybe something with a little bit higher pen, because the PPSH on its own is not going to get you through all the bosses. It just simply won't, unfortunately. The ammunition is just not good enough. If you're going to be doing leg meta, the highest damage round is the LRN PC, and that's going to be sitting at 66. So move it over to the RPD, which is the much more attractive weapon to use when it comes to not getting any weapon jams at all, and you are going to be running through a lot of ammo, so that might be something you're just interested in general, not just specifically to Kalante. The RPD is going to be a little bit more expensive, and the mags are a little bit more expensive as well. You can see I am once again waiting for a restock here. They're not too bad in the fleet. 70k about. So RPD is definitely the more attractive weapon here, and if you are going to be going for leg meta, then you're going to be looking at the HP rounds, which are going to be doing 87 per shot. And you do have a lot more options here with ammunitions that will be putting out a little bit more higher penetration. It's just up to you if you want to aim for the chest and do less damage, if you want to aim for the head. But when it comes to Tagilla, he's going to have his face shield on. When it comes to Killa, he's going to have his face shield on. And then, obviously, some of these bosses have some pretty decent armor. So it is kind of up in the air what you want to do, what ammunition you want to run. It depends on if you're running any secondaries, and there's a lot of variables when it comes to the gear you are wearing and what you are running weapon-wise, and obviously ammunition-wise. Next, let's talk about grenades. You need to bring in a shit ton of grenades. I've been buying 10 flashbangs every single restock, and that has been my go-to because they are the cheapest. Honestly, the reason I like the flashbangs over regular grenades is because if you do actually flash a boss, they're going to be shooting. They're not going to be shooting at you. They're just going to be spraying and praying. Not only could they potentially damage other bosses, but even if they just run away from your frag grenade, they can still shoot you the moment they reposition. With the flash grenade, you have like 7 to 10 seconds to get to where you need to go, and the only main purpose that I've been using the flashbangs for is actually entering into the resort. Once you're inside the resort, it is a lot easier to manage all the bosses through these tight corners, and it just makes life 10 times easier. So what we're going to do is we are going to head in to a raid. I don't know if we're going to put any gear on or not, but I'm going to do my best to explain to you what seems to be one of the better methods to push into the resort and how to work from once you're inside of it. All right, so we are currently at the resort, but I am actually going to go down by the bus station here to show you the strategy that I've been using and that has been working the best for me. When it comes to the amount of time it has taken me just to run straight to the resort without any gear on, you know, as light as possible at the current moment, it still took me like 5 minutes. And that is definitely one downside of all the bosses being at the resort. It would be nice if, at least for PvE, you could spawn us a little bit closer. Just my opinion. So, what I have been doing is if I'm spawning on the east side of the map, I have been coming up through the power station, coming up through the bus station, and coming over here to the rocks and scaling them. If you spawn west, then, you know, anywhere over here, obviously just come right to the rocks, skip the bus station completely. One thing I have seen is potentially Sturman can be out here. It's very rare, but I've seen him roaming a little bit. Same with the goons. They can roam, but usually they will be within the confines of the fencing. So right now, this is what I've been doing. And even though I've been not doing too well in the task, this has at least been getting me in the resort. So I come right here. And right about here. And this is kind of where you will start to get in a dangerous predicament. So if you got nades, I didn't bring any for testing and, you know, show purposes, but right here, you want to nade to the left, nade off to this way, listen for a voice comm. Once you get a comm or don't get a comm, you're going to run up here to this little tiny hill. You're going to throw another nade right about here. And what that nade is going to do is it's going to land right by this ramp. And I have killed Kaban here with the nade. Tagilla has been right here. Bunch of the bosses like to sit right here. So it's a perfect nade placement. Like I said, with those flashbangs, them just shooting around. If you are flashing this right here, you will have enough time to go from this ramp into the resort. And then you can try and challenge right here from the top window on 2 or 3, or you could try and do some sort of peek through the wall, whatever you'd want to do to try and manage that situation once you are in it. But before we run into the resort, even after the flashbang, we have one other thing we have to look out for. This entire lane right here. I have primarily seen the goons on the right side of the resort right here from this angle, which has been problematic. Mainly because Knight has been beaming me. He has killed me twice right here. He just sits right by this pile of trash. And then also Big Pipe has been sitting right here in the bushes. And both times that I've encountered him, he has had 300 blackout, shooting M62 tracers, which take you down pretty quickly. If the goons spot you and they are out here, you are essentially fucked when it comes to trying to enter the resort, in my personal opinion. The next thing you would have to do is come over here, fight this boss if the boss is up, and then you would have to push over this ramp and try and enter the resort from here. This is extremely dangerous. You have this entire sight line, and the bosses can roam out around in here. If you have a clear sight line from the right side of the resort here, if this sight line is completely clear or clear enough and you are flashing over here, or if there's no comms, if there's no boss over here, you are then safe to run into the resort. And this is what this will look like most times with a successful run. You're not going to have a successful run every single time. You simply won't. The spawns are very random. The roaming is very random. So you're kind of leaving it up to RNG. But once you are here, there's a couple different things you can do, and you can, you know, kind of fight through the resort how you'd like from this point on. So the first thing you want to do is hop right into the stairs here. There's a good chance you're going to have some sort of boss right here. So right here, if you want to take some shots at whatever boss is going to be down here, great. Do that, but pushing down this hallway is very dangerous. The bosses can shoot you through these little cracks here in these medical curtains. So if you can at least wound them so they take cover and they're not pushing you, that's going to allow you to push up and make a play. So I have killed Rashala. I think he was in this bathroom. Yeah, he was in this bathroom right here. I just barrel stuffed him with the RPD and took him down there. And then from that point on, I actually pushed up right here to the truck. And I had regular PMCs out here to get through west into east. And that is coming to level 2 and just crawling across the entire bridge. Crawl the entire thing. You will not be shot. You will not be naded. You are completely safe, at least in my experience. I've done this 3 times so far, and it has worked every single time. So that is enough testing for me to confidently say to you that you should not have an issue when it comes to crawling through the second story. So once you're done crawling, I got up once I was kind of away from the windows enough when it comes to behind me. So right about here is where I got up, and then I continued through. And the moment I got right here, Tagilla aggroed onto me. He came up the stairs. And right here, I legged him with the RPD. Just shot the hell out of him. And he ducked right in here and started healing. And I just barrel stuffed him, and he was dead. It was no problem. The easiest kill out of all the scab bosses. As for Kaban, the only other scab boss I've killed so far, he was at that nade spot that I told you about at the west entrance where I was telling you to nade. That's where I actually killed Kaban. Tagilla was originally with Kaban when I naded, and Tagilla ran the whole way across the map, and I assume he was still aggroed onto me, which is why he came up the stairs here, and I was able to kill him. From this point on, I ran through, and I came to the hole in the floor right here, and this is where I engaged Sanitar, lit him up like a mother, but that boy popped some stims, and he was feeling great. So I didn't end up killing Sanitar here. I did a ton of damage to him, but I did not end up killing him. And then I dropped down, and I had... Which way was it? It was either right here or right here. I got in a gunfight with Big Pipe. He had M62 Tracers from 300 Blackout, and he won the gunfight. So that's where my most successful run actually ended. The reason I dropped down was to kill Sanitar. He ran in here. So I dropped down, assuming that I would be clear enough to at least get in the room and finish Sanitar. However, that was not the case. Big Pipe was waiting. So when it comes to entering East, I wouldn't recommend it. And the reason for that is actually getting up to this point where we're standing at the down fence is actually really difficult. So if you're coming from down here, not only are you going to have the fence to your left to worry about, over here, this entire section, any of the bosses could be here, you're going to have to worry about poor visibility for your end, and them being able to aggro you through the fence. And if you don't know, a lot of ammunition is significantly affected when you are trying to wallbang these fences. It honestly feels like your bullets are marshmallows. It just does not work out well enough for you. But if you could manage to get into just right here, to breach into here, you will still have to mantle onto the fire truck to get into the resort. This is not something you're going to be able to do. You will not survive this. It is honestly kind of not plausible to think that you would survive it. And that automatically makes this inferior to entering through West Wing. As for bosses that I've seen right here, doing some scav run testing, I have found Killa right out here, roaming around. I have had Sturman right here. I have also seen some of the bosses along the back fence here. I had Knight along the back fence over here, and I was trying to come up from the car extract, kind of flank behind the resort. Knight absolutely shit on me. One-tapped me to the chest with 308 FMJ. Shit on me. As for Gluhar, I've seen a couple instances where he's just kind of out here in the courtyard of the resort. Really don't have too much info on that from me. And then when it comes to Kalante, I have encountered him twice. Once was literally right here, just kind of sitting in the middle of the room, just spinning. He was just sitting around spinning with his LMG. And the other encounter I've had with Kalante was down here at the pool, and I'm going to kind of tell you how that went. So I remember specifically that I saw a flashlight right about here in the ceiling, and you guys know how flashlights work in this game, how you can kind of see them through the floor a little bit. So I voice commed right here to hopefully aggro whatever scout boss it was. I didn't know which one it was. I just wanted to aggro it. And then I ran over here to the staircase and I waited. Scout boss came down, ended up being Kalante, had the baton out. I was running an MP5 with rip rounds, and I also had a PMC's AK-12. I got it from the weather station, killed a 2-stack of PMCs there. I did not have the RPD, and I did not have the PPSH, and I was unfortunately met with a baton to the face, and then after about 3 hits to my head, Kalante pulled out his big beefy machine gun and mowed me down, and that was right over here in the pool. After both weapons had jammed, I'd gotten myself to right here. Kalante was still beating the fuck out of me. Jumped in the pool, and well, unfortunately, he didn't jump in the pool. The moment I was about right here, he was sitting right here, and that's where he mowed me down. So, I was not prepared. I did not actually know about the RPD and PPSH until somebody in the Discord let me know about it. So that is very valuable information that you should 100% take advantage of somehow, in some way, shape, or form. You know, if you do see Kalante, maybe take out the RPD, take out the PPSH. I would highly recommend, though, you run one of those weapons in more of a combo with something a little more range, so you can take out a few scab bosses at range if you can. But their vision is insane. They laser you. It's a really tough task. A lot of people are going to be saying that they got it done in one raid. They got it done in a few raids. It's super easy. Snowball's super easy. The reality of the situation is we're not all Landmark. We're not all Gingy. We're not going to get it done in one raid. We're not the best Tarkov players to ever touch a mouse and keyboard. The reality of it is you are going to struggle. The reality of it is you're going to go broke if you don't have a ton of money. If you're sitting on 130 mil like myself, then losing 5 mil in 10 raids really isn't a drop in the bucket that's too concerning. But if you only have 10, 20 million, be very cautious on going to Shoreline and trying to do this task. Take it with a lot of patience and do not take it lightly. It is a very tough task to come here and constantly search for these bosses. And as you start to tick down what bosses you have already killed, if you come back into the raid, everybody that you've killed so far is going to be here again. They respawn. It's not like you kill one and you come back and Reshala wouldn't be here. Reshala is going to be here again. It's the same thing for all the bosses. So you have to come here with the full intentions of losing your kit and with the full intentions of hauling ass. You literally do have to hustle because you do not have time to dick around. You do not have time with the shortened raid timers in PvE to try and be super tactical once you're in the resort. The hard part is getting in the resort. From here, you can try to manage it the best you can. When you are in the resort, you have the best chance at killing the most bosses than if you can't even make it inside. So this has been my rough guide on some tips and tricks to help complete Hustle. This is not a surefire method to complete the task. You simply cannot make a guide like that because of how random the spawns are and how many variables are involved with your situation with money, your trader situation, your level situation, the weapons you're running, the ammo that you have available to you, all of the spawns, the RNG on where the goons are going to be, the RNG on where Sherman's going to be. There's so many different things that I can't prepare you for until you have hopped in and done 5 to 10 raids so you can start to get a vibe, start to get a feel of how things are working. But with this guide here today, the main takeaways: RPD and PPSH for Kalante, nade spot and always enter at west wing, proning across the bridge to get to east, bringing a ton of grenades to get comms from the scab bosses and to potentially influence their movements to get them in a more advantageous position for you to actually mow them down. And lastly, coming into the raid with the full expectations that you are not going to kill every single scab boss, you are not going to extract, and you're going to be losing a shit ton of money. Do me a favor, make sure you're dropping a like on this one, and of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more PvE content. I will see you in the next video. I'm out.